If you don't know these 9 winter hacks yet, you really should, because they can make your life so much easier. I'll show you which ones they are in this video. What candles, laundry, and a milk carton for your feet have to do with it, I'll show you right after I show you why you should grab a pair of socks. Now take the first sock and put a funnel inside, because for the next step you're going to need some rice, specifically uncooked rice. Now fill the sock with the rice. Every now and then make sure that the rice really reaches all the way to the bottom of the sock. But don't fill it all the way to the top. We still need a little bit of room in the sock, because once it's filled about halfway, like mine is here, I'm going to tie a knot in the sock. Of course, you can't really wear the sock like this anymore, but we want to do something else with it anyway. You can just put it in your microwave and let it run at 800 watts for 1 minute, because then you'll find that the sock is now nice and warm. You can use it as a substitute for a hot water bottle to warm yourself up, or even your bed or your sofa, wherever you happen to be. And maybe you're one of those people who likes to eat a mandarin orange in the winter. If not, you'll definitely want to after this video, because you should now make a longitudinal cut into the mandarin all the way around, as you can see me doing here. Then grab a spoon and carefully peel off the skin, because you must make sure that this little stem is still attached to one side of the peel when you've taken it off, because that's extremely important for this trick to work at all. Now you're going to need some olive oil, but first place the peel into a glass container. Now fill it with olive oil, but also make sure to pour a small amount of the olive oil directly over the stem. Because in fact you can now light the mandarin peel and have an incredibly pretty mandarin candle that not only looks great but also smells amazing. And since you can keep refilling it with new olive oil, it basically burns indefinitely. And you've probably heard that you should always set your windows to winter mode to save energy. But be careful, because you should definitely not do that. I'll explain exactly why now. It's about these roller cams that you find on every window, because with these you can adjust the contact pressure of your window and are supposed to be able to ensure that they are much tighter, which can save energy, especially in winter. That's also true in theory. The only problem is there's no such thing as a winter mode. If your windows are a bit older, you might need to increase the contact pressure so that the windows seal properly. But under no circumstances should you regularly fiddle with these locking cams, because in the worst case you could even damage your window. So, the window winter mode is a myth, but not like the next trick. After all, there's nothing nicer in winter than lighting one or even several candles. But have you ever stored your candles in the freezer? Because you actually should be doing that. You should always keep all of your candles stored in the freezer just like this. And only when you are ready to light one should you take it out and then light it up. There is a very specific reason for doing this, which can also save you a lot of money. Ever since I heard that it works, I've only been storing my candles in the freezer. When I want to light them, I just take them out and light them as usual. It works just as well that way. You won't notice any significant differences here. However, when you light up the candle, the wax transitions from a solid form to a liquid and then to a gaseous state. And if you've kept your candles in the freezer beforehand, then that whole process will happen much more slowly. That means you don't have to buy new candles so often, since they burn much longer. Before we get to an absolutely brilliant and clever laundry trick and why you should put a milk carton in your shoe, let me show you another incredibly useful and helpful little tip for your trash can. For this, you should grab a matchstick, but make sure that you do not actually light it. Just throw it into the trash can. All you need to do is break the matchstick into several pieces. From my longer matchstick, I made 3 equal pieces, but I only need 2 of them. Because now we should glue these onto our trash can with some hot glue and at a very specific spot. We should now securely attach each of these to the outside edge of the trash can with hot glue. And as soon as we've glued them on, we'll take the hot glue gun again and carefully apply a layer around the matchstick a bit more, so that it stays firmly and securely in place here. And of course we do this on both sides because we don't want it to break off again right away. The whole thing now has a truly brilliant advantage. We should have positioned the item so that when we now close the lid of the trash can, it comes to rest directly on the matchstick. This way the trash can will remain slightly open, as you can clearly see here. And especially in winter, this can help you a lot. Because the trash can isn't completely closed, we never have the problem again of the trash can freezing shut in winter, and in the worst case, not being able to open it at all. A very big problem that many people have in winter is drafts. If I hold a lighter under my door, you can clearly see that air is coming into the room here, as the flame bends backward. What you need to fix this is simply a door seal like this one, which you can get for very little money. On the back, it has an adhesive surface, but as a first step, you should of course clean the door once. This works best with a bit of rubbing alcohol. Wipe down the entire door once and make sure it's dry at the end. Next, you can carefully peel the film from the adhesive surface and firmly press the entire strip onto your door so that it sits just barely above the floor. This way you can effectively close the gap between the door and the floor. Finally, you can cut the door seal so that it perfectly matches the exact length of your door. Of course, you can open and close your door just like normal. But now it ensures that this gap is closed in such a way that if we hold a lighter underneath, we can clearly see that no more drafts are coming in here. This means you have much less energy loss and can even save money as a result. I've included a link to this door seal that I used here in the video description. There are also some important tricks you should definitely keep in mind when it comes to hanging up laundry, especially if you don't want mold to develop in your apartment. The first tip is that you should always shake out your laundry before hanging it up, because that's how you get it to dry much faster. You should also make sure not to hang them too close together, because that can also cause it to take much longer for them to dry. Make sure there is always a good amount of space between each piece of laundry, just as you can see here with mine. One major issue with hanging laundry inside your apartment is that it can significantly increase the humidity, which often inevitably leads to mold forming more quickly. To make sure that doesn't happen, you should ventilate regularly. It's best to set up your laundry so that it's positioned between two windows, allowing you to open both and let the air circulate well, so that the moisture is directed outside. Alternatively, just make sure to regularly air out the room thoroughly to remove the moisture that gets into the air from your apartment. That way, you're on the safe side. And before we get to the incredible milk carton trick for your shoes, let me show you why you should always clip clothespins to your radiator, especially in winter. For this, you should grab a wooden clothespin. Now, there are several possibilities here. Either you take an essential oil with a scent of your choice and put a few drops of it directly onto the clothespin. Now wait until it has soaked in a bit. If you don't have any essential oil, you can also use a room fragrance, for example, and just give it a few quick sprays. The exact same thing also works with your favorite perfume or anything else that simply smells good. Once you've done that, you can clip one or even several of these clothespins somewhere on your radiator. The advantage of this is that if it's under a windowsill, for example, you wouldn't even see the wooden clips directly. But they ensure that the nice scent you've added is distributed throughout your entire apartment by the warm air when you turn on the heating. And when the scent eventually fades, you just spray something new on top. But the most ingenious thing is the milk carton trick for your shoes, because all you really need for this project is your shoe and a regular milk carton. First, you should pull the insole out of your shoe. Once you've done that, grab a conventional empty milk carton. In the first step, you have to cut the carton open completely and then unfold it a bit. Once you've done that, grab your insole again and place it on here. Depending on how big your feet are, you have to do this either lengthwise or crosswise. Then grab a pen and draw once around the insole. Once you've done that, you can now cut the whole thing out. Because now comes probably the most ingenious trick. You can now simply place this piece of the milk carton into your shoe. It's now the right size and should fit perfectly into your shoe. Please ensure that the shiny side is facing upwards. After that, you can put your insole back in as usual. It will remain hidden from view and you can just step into your shoe like you usually do. You won't really notice it either. But with this specially designed surface, you ensure that it's now much better insulated and the heat stays in your shoe better, which means you'll have far fewer problems with cold feet in winter. If you also want to know how to never have to scrape your car windows again thanks to a truly brilliant and simple trick, then watch the video you see on the screen right now. Go ahead and click right on it now.